evening, everyone, and welcome. This is Twist Gaming, where you get to play board games with us. We are coming to you live here from Dice Tower Con 2018, bringing you awesome board game coverage all weekend long. But first off, who are we? I'm Matt.
I'm Julie.
And we are Twist Gaming. Thank you all for joining us. So this is our first impression session.
Yeah.
Our spotlight of Before There Were Stars by Smirk and Laughter. So if you haven't had a chance, go watch the video on demand. I'm assuming if you're not watching live right now.
Right.
Go take a look at our playthrough of Before There Were Stars. It was a ton of fun, super creative.
Yeah.
So a little bit of a brief primer, Julie. I'm going to throw this one to you. What kind of game is Before There Were Stars?
Well, so it's a storytelling game, and as was pointed out to us, the difference of it is that there's a lot of, I would say, scaffolding, so that to be able to tell a tale from the points of all of the cards that you're choosing are more concrete concepts as opposed to abstract ideas, and then also your prompt card giving you the ability to, giving you the story arc itself of what you're supposed to do, and then how you're supposed to use the cards to incorporate new cards and then pull in some of the older cards from previous rounds to continue your storytelling.
So what we like to do in the first impression session here is we go through our favorite aspects of the game, any constructive criticisms that we have, and then the most important question of would we play this game again given the opportunity. So typically we like to take the winner of the game, but in this case the winner isn't on this part of the game.
The winner wasn't on this part of the game. The winner was
the game designer.
The game designer.
Of course, right? But we did tie.
I mean, so
the rest of us tied.
Well, but even that, the scoring was very close.
Oh, yeah, it was 2 points from the winner to the next position.
The three-way tie between the rest of us.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So I'm going to start us out with some of the main aspects of the game that really spoke to me. I love the constellation cards, just really beautiful, the way that they are. So it's your traditional constellations that you expect to see in the sky, but I love the way that they incorporated the pips logically into the design of the card to be able to draft the cards with dice.
What it reminds me of, actually, quite a bit, is if you so any children's book that have a lot of the constellation stories, or even if you've going to the Science Museum, where they do a lot of things to teach the constellations. A lot of times they do that where they show the star and then they give you that kind of simple overlay of what they imagine just a simple, almost minimalist view of what the picture should be. And so it did have a lot of that, evoke a lot of times that I've seen it like that.
Absolutely. And I like kind of the praising aspect of the game as well, where there's a point to be made at the end of the game, and quite literally a point to be earned, of just basically going around and explaining your favorite aspects of everyone's stories that they did. So, one, it gives everyone the pat on the back that they makes you feel good about the story that you just had.
No, absolutely, it did.
And two, it's that, the one little point that could swing things in one direction or another. And it kind of lets you recap and refresh in your head what everyone's stories were, because you might have forgotten a point that really stood out to someone else. And that kind of helps you take away that memory of the game.
Well, and as it is the point of the game is the journey of the story, the emotional journey, whether it's laughter, whether it's something more serious,
it's
more
the journey,
reflective.
not the destination.
But it really kind of was.
Yeah.
That the points were almost incidental at the end, because what you're really doing is spending time sharing these moments with each other. So that was the game itself was the reward in and of itself, which seems in our very competitive world of gaming seems a little bit silly to say sometimes, but really it was. I enjoyed it tremendously. I did not care whether I won or lost.
Absolutely, yeah. That is a huge takeaway, just because we can get kind of caught up in the slog of, oh, darn, I didn't win a game.
Right. Or even frustrated when you realize that you're not going to win, or any of that. You didn't even get to see what points you had.
I thought it was
so that you could fully experience listening to everybody instead of worrying what your point score was.
I thought it was very interesting that at the end of the stream that Kurt specifically said, now is when you could look in your bag if you want to see your score.
Right.
And that just seemed like such a foreign concept, but at the same time, I was like, yeah, I just had fun doing this.
Although that being said, you pointed out that we liked the bags as the components.
Purple burlap.
Purple burlap.
Purple burlap.
Yours was, obviously. And also the components of the stars themselves, the points that you got
I'm
were,
going to switch over to the board cam
yeah.
here so I can kind of show it off a little bit more. But so we have a whole bunch of cards, a whole mess of these gems that are basically part of the scoring system here,
Hmm.
and then the dice themselves, which I think is just a really nice touch to use star pips for the dice.
Yep.
And you know, having the dice as a bit of a random element, which was interesting because I kind of questioned the actual randomness of using the dice because there were 12 dice that you're rolling.
So what I like about that, the smart part about that, is that you can get so caught in your own head being nervous about telling the story that it forced you to make choices to narrow down. So even if it wasn't the choice you necessarily wanted to make in the first place, it allows you to be creative. It doesn't let you do analysis paralysis
Hmm.
because you kind of have to pick. And then if you don't like any of them, you do that kind of meh and you pick from the top of the deck and you get what you get.
Hmm.
The seed.
Julie, are there any other aspects of this game that you'd like to touch on before we moved into the constructive criticism portion of this?
I also very much like that. So they gave the myth, and then on the other side, you still also have the option of the
Yeah,
legend. And so I enjoy storytelling. I also taught for many, many years. And to me, these are two of the biggest in the classroom. So I could enjoy playing this with my friends, with my family, but I could also see this being an amazing way to teach kids. So I liked that you had the option for two different styles of storytelling.
absolutely.
In fact, I would love to see some of the other ways of telling, of storytelling, oral tradition type of things that you could also, just seeing the format, could do quite easily, I'm sure.
Absolutely, and I think that you touched on it a little bit. The playing it with kids, playing it with adults. This game lends itself to play with whatever audience you would like to play it with, and I think that that's a really nice point of it because there's a lot of times where a game could get trapped in being either too mature or too childish,
Hmm.
and this is just super open interpretation. So it's tailor it to your crowd, tailor it to your mood. So we had three very serious stories and one that was not so
Right.
serious.
And
And you could go many directions beyond those as well. So I think that that's really interesting, and I'm kind of excited to play again. Just to, I want to do like a comedy story now after seeing
I
it.
think you just gave spoilers away for the ending, but yes,
Well,
of our review.
maybe.
Mm.
So, jumping into the constructive criticisms portion, this is where we talk about any aspects of the game that, if we had the opportunity, we would tweak or alter just to make it more appealing from our personal opinions. So, did you want to start us out here, Julie?
Well, sure. Um,
I know I put you on the spotlight
why
there.
not? I am so again coming from the for adults. I actually think component wise, all of the pieces wise, great. I could see additional things being added, wonder as expansions. The one thing I think for if you are making it also kid friendly, I like the pips, but I actually would have liked bigger dice. The
Mm,
smaller dice, um, for it's a tiny thing. It's really like a nit, but
right.
I wanted them to be bigger because with kids they lose this would be lost within days in
Yeah.
any of my in my classroom when I was teaching. So that's my one. I mean, so nitpicky though. Like that's not like the game itself, and it's pretty. I had a great time playing it. So that was my one ask, I guess. Future thought.
So I'm kind of struggling to find a portion of the game that I really just I didn't care for in one sense or the other. I think that everything just was very smooth the way that the game played. The creativity was just enough. The game supplied a nice backbone to where you kind of had a guidance of a direction that you could go in, and you could kind of turn that on its head if you really wanted to. But one thing that I might change if I had the opportunity, and I'm going to say this from Josh's perspective. So, Josh, one of our key members here at Twist, is colorblind,
Yep.
and the scoring components are all these gems, and they are really pretty. Don't get me wrong, but they are all the same shape. They're they're there. I promise. No, you can see them over here. They're the orange, or the gold, the yellow, and then the blue colors here. They are all the same shape. So if you do have some sort of visual imperative for colors, it might be more difficult for you to pick up on the
Accurately
scoring. Yeah.
score the game.
Although I guess technically you could go by volume. Then you can just put a number of stars into the bag equal to what you want to score the person as if you have
I'm
it
sure
that
there
way.
are workarounds, but
Yeah.
that again,
Uh, so Josh says the colors are fine for him.
never mind.
But yeah, I just super nitpicky. That's one thing that kind of stood out to me a little
Yeah,
bit.
honestly,
But
really hard to find
it's very polished.
it. Yes. Well, that's to my more story options would be nice. I don't know if I necessarily would say that that's
A criticism.
a criticism. It's more, again, it's an ask of like, so this is great, and I know that if they made more, I would want more.
Oh yeah,
So
expansions
that's
down
not.
the line. I'm buying
I don't
these.
know if that's a criticism, really.
Yeah, I think that's out of the box. You have so many. Like I didn't even know that there was the second side. I didn't know that there was the legend versus the myth.
Right.
So, I was happy with the myth there, and I thought that was really cool. That there was you can kind of replay it so many different times based off of the cards and your style of presenting what you have.
Yeah.
So that's going to make us jump into the most important question of the evening, and I think I know the answer from you already. And this
Right.
is, would you play this game again?
I'm gonna play this a bajillion times. I already know that's a thing. So
Yeah, I'm going to jump in there with you. And I typically struggle with the creative off the top of the head games. I tend to have a little bit harder of a time doing that, but I think that this game presented a really nice structure to kind of guide you along the path. And then having the turn order go around so you can kind of see how other people are structuring it, I think makes it significantly more approachable to me. So yes, I'm definitely going to play this again, and in the future I'm probably going to wind up playing more comedy style games just because that's probably more in my wheelhouse. And I like that this game
I wanted
interprets
voices
that.
from you. I'm not even gonna lie. I have more criticisms for you than what I would have wanted from your storytelling. I wanted the Whalers voice.
Oh, man.
I wanted, but that's okay because we're gonna play it again.
We are.
All right, cool. Done.
All right, so I think that hits on all the points there. 2 thumbs up. Thumbs. Oh, God.
Come on, no, do it. Ready?
This guy. 2 thumbs up from us here at Twist Gaming. And
That
if you
was
don't
awesome.
know why we're laughing, go watch the Spotlight
For real.
section.
You should have anyway.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
So big shout out to Smirk and Laughter Games for sponsoring this stream and all of this week's streams. And thank all of you for watching here. Stay tuned for more coverage from Dice Tower Con 2018 coming to you here from Twist Gaming. But for now, signing off, I'm Matt.
I'm Julie.
Good night, everyone.
Night.